Well, the reason that private ambulance services are different from the NHS is because we have our own clinical governance, and our clinical governance has to be signed off by the NHS and has to match the requirements as what is set out for us by the Department of Health, which is also monitored by what we call the CQC. Now, the CQC, instead of filling your head full of absolute stuff that you don't need to worry about, the CQC govern the NHS. So when the NHS are naughty, the CQC, as well as NHS England, can come in and they can say, you're not doing this properly, you're not doing that properly. So we have to match the expectations and the requirements of NHS England and the CQC. So in order for us to put something together like this was actually quite easy. Now, as Elias will tell you, in the NHS, if you want to do something or you want to change something, you've got to have 35 meetings, you've got to do a business case, you've got to do proposals. It literally takes 6 months to a year to get, I don't know, a new type of stethoscope. It is literally barriers. And that's why I like working in the private sector, because in the private sector, I'll go to Andy and I'll go to Steve and go, right, guys, I've got this fantastic idea. This is what the idea is. These are the benefits. These are the negatives. What do you think? And we will all make a decision immediately and make the change immediately rather than 6 months of the year. And that's the joys about the private sector compared to what the NHS is like. Now, in the private sector, predominantly, quite a lot of people are self-employed, and there's a lot of uncertainty about people's job security when you're self-employed. So what we're offering to you guys and any other international paramedics that want to come over is we're offering PAYE, which is basically you are contracted, you get paid if you're sick, you get paid for holiday, we look after your training, we help, we guide, and we support you as you would be supported and guided if you were in the NHS, but just you're in the private sector and you're getting paid substantially more. So just a little bit about Southern Medical Rescue. Andy and his brother Steve, who unfortunately can't be here today, they set Southern Medical up in 2019 and was doing lots of events and motocross and some of the high profile things. Before that, Andy was running a very, very successful company that was based at Heathrow Airport, looking after protester removal and getting all those naughty people out of trees and buildings after they locked themselves away. And Andy's just about to get signed off as a paramedic, and so is his brother Steve. He's just doing all the paperwork process, but he stupidly decided to start an ambulance service. So his paramedic qualification has been put on the back burner for a while. Yeah. So that's just a little bit about what we do. But we have basically 3 bases. We've got a base in Milton Keynes. We've got a base in Henley-on-Thames, which is beautiful. I'm not sure if you've heard of the famous Henley Regatta in England, where everyone's boating and wearing these funny hats. Well, that's where Henley is. And we've got a base in a place called Frimley, which is in Surrey, which is not far from London, and Milton Keynes is just north of London if you're looking on a map. So we've got some great little bases scattered about, but our main base is in Henley-on-Thames, which is in Oxfordshire, which is very, very nice. And so what the plan would be is for those of you who were wanting to take up this opportunity, we would obviously you'd have to meet requirements first of all. You have to go and get your HCPC registration. We have to look at your experience. If you just come fresh out of uni or you've never worked on an ambulance before, you've just got a qualification. Those are all things that we can chat about or we can narrow down later on the line. But the way it would work is you basically come over, we would put you up in accommodation first of all, we would pick you up from the airport. Obviously there'd be flags and banners and drums and people waving things. And we would pick you guys up from the airport and we would take you back to the accommodation, get you settled in, enjoy your night, tell you where the local takeaways are and places to go and see or eat or drink, and then we'd come back and pick you all up the next day and bring you into one of the bases for a meeting, and then we'd say, right guys, welcome. have a cup of English tea and some biscuits, and this is how it's going to go. So then there'd be what's called a transition to practice process, and I'm not sure if those of you know what that is. The transition to practice process will be handled by Andy, who is on there. So maybe it's a good point for him to just tell you a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so I don't know if you're aware about the transition or not, but it would be a period of both classroom and on the road hours, where we're just basically making sure that you're up to speed with the way the NHS run things here, policies, procedures, drugs, some different medications that are carried, the administration procedures around them, the JL Calc, which is like basically the Bible that's used here by paramedics for any medical emergency and drug administration. And once we've done the classroom side of it, and we're happy with that, it'll then be some mentored hours on the ambulances. So you'll be working alongside one of our paramedics on the vehicles for a period of time, filling out a portfolio to make sure that we're happy and you're happy as well, that you are fit to go out on the road here in the UK. It's for us and for yourselves. Ultimately, we need to make sure from our side that you are competent, but also you've got a registration, once you've applied to the HCPC, it's not going to be an easy process, and the last thing we want or you'll want is to have an investigation and lose that because we haven't made sure everything's been done. The exact period and time of that, we're not 100% sure at the moment. It's still in the process of being put in and the planning stage, but ultimately I think a lot of that will depend on individuals as well, on how comfortable they are once they're out on the road. After a couple of weeks with a mentor, it might be that a bit more time is needed, another week or so, or some individuals might feel happy, but it will be supported all the way through. We're not just going to sort of throw you out there and leave you in difficulty. So.
You muted yourself, mate. Unmute.
Sorry guys. The good thing about doing a transition to practice process is it's not just a one-sided thing, it's a two-sided thing, because as I found when I worked with Elias, some of you guys have got a lot more skills than what our UK paramedics have. So it might be a case that you're having to de-skill to work over here, which can be a little bit stressful. So it's about ensuring that you understand the thought process behind that, what the rules and regs are, what you can do and what you can't do. And do you know what? Don't panic about things like that as well, because, if you are trained to do a skill and you're over here and the patient needs it, but you follow the process, you follow the protocol, you basically call for backup, there's none available. There are things that you can do and to cover yourself. If you do have the equipment available and you are able to do that particular skill, we can phone something called, or you can phone something called top cover, where you chat to a doctor and go, hi, I'm on scene, I've got this patient, this is what he's presenting with, he needs this doing, but it's out of my scope, but I am trained to do it, am I allowed to do it? So a lot of paramedics, I know when they come over that are more skilled than our paramedics, do kind of worry about things like that. Don't worry about it, it's not a problem. It just takes a little bit of getting used to, but that's why transition to practice is so important when you're going to other countries to work as a paramedic, because you guys are registered professionals, you're very, very good at what you do, and sometimes it might be a little bit frustrating for you. Like I was on jobs with Elias and it's like, if I was at home this would be easy, I'll just do X, Y and Z, but because I'm here I can't. So it can be a little bit frustrating, but don't worry about things like that. It's not a be-all and end-all. But so after the transition to practice is done, as Andy said, you'll go out with some of our paramedics and you'll be signed off until you're competent to go out and work on your own. And then once you go out and work on your own, because obviously you have driving as a driving issue, because you obviously won't have blue lights, which a lot of people found in LAS, didn't they, Elias? There was a lot of that. So basically, for those of you that do come over, you'll need to register to get your driving license, because in order for us to do blue light training, you need to have. Well, Andy did look into it, and there was a possibility of doing it with an international license, but I think the British license was easier, wasn't it, Andy?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's much easier to do it on the UK license. There's a possibility to do it on a foreign license, but it's by a sort of training provider say so. So it's just be quite difficult, I think, to find one that will accept it, because they're all quite worried about liability.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what we would do is we would run the courses in-house, because quite a lot of ambulance services do have in-house education, but they're always really busy. We can send you off training with the NHS, so if it's something that you decided that you wanted to get trained by the NHS or us, but you need a C1 license when you train for the NHS, and a C1, our driving license categories for vehicles and vans and lorries are all done in weight. And so some of the ambulances weigh over 3.5 tonne or weigh 3.2, I think it is. So that's what's needed is a C1 category licence. I'm not sure if you've seen any pictures of ambulances over here in the UK. You've got some that look like vans, which are smaller, and then you've got bigger ones that look like great big box ones and stuff. So the bigger ones you need a C1 license for, and the smaller ones you don't need a C1 license for. So I think what we would try and do as an organisation, which Andy would basically source and sort, is we'd get you blue light trained in a B-class vehicle, because that's predominantly what we have. We predominantly have the smaller ambulances, because the big ones are really expensive, and we don't really need them. So we would put you through a blue light course as soon as we can, but I think down to insurance purposes, you would be a non-driver for a certain amount of time. But that's just for our insurance, but we're kind of looking at other ways around that. There might be a possibility. I don't know if there are anybody or is anybody on the call who's already worked in the UK, much like Elias. So for him, it'd be quite simple. He's got his lights and stuff, and he'd be able to drive. And then there might be others of you that have worked in European countries before, or so there might be ways around it depending on what your experience is. Then we get down to the nitty-gritty of stuff. So how much will we be paying you? That's the great question, isn't it? So what we would do is we would pay you £30,000 a year for 2 years, and then after the 2 years, we'd put it up to £48,000. And if you transfer that into I don't know what your currency rate is, but I'm guessing it's a lot better than what the NHS are offering you. Because obviously at the moment, the NHS are looking for staff. They're looking for people to come over. And we'll always be honest and upfront. If you want to work for the NHS, come over and work for the NHS. We can put you in touch with people at different trusts, which is absolutely great to work for, but you'll be doing the same job. You'll have the same equipment, but you'll have a different uniform, a different vehicle, and you get paid a lot less than what we pay you. And that's the different thing. That is actually all that's different. We'll be going to the same jobs, we'll be dispatched by the same control room, we just have a different uniform and a different vehicle and a different wage. Brilliant. So to put it into perspective, the wage that you would be on if you were in the NHS, your team leaders and your managers, with us, you'll be getting paid what the team leaders and managers get paid. That's the difference. But that's just because it's the private sector. Things are different in the private sector. I mean, if you go to South Africa, there's a lot of private companies there. I've got some friends that work for Netcare, and they always tell me what the difference is between the privates and the states. It's exactly the same over here. The pay is all completely different because the NHS has got massive overheads. Not to bore you, but the NHS is huge. They've got 30, 40 ambulance stations, they've got 50 million managers, they've got education teams, and all that money has to come from somewhere, and the people that suffer are people on the road. That's why the people on the road in the NHS have such low wages, and they get treated, I want to say badly. I know this is being recorded, but it's fine. I think they do get treated badly, and I've always voted for bigger wages for them. But that's why in the private sector it's different, because we pay you more, because we value you more. That's the difference. And we believe that if we pay you appropriately and we look after you and we take care of you, then you want to stay and you want to stay with us. So that's the salary. It's £30,000 for the first 2 years, and then after that, I'm just going to double check that with my finance person because he sadly can't be here. £30,000 going to 48 after 2 years. Oops, sorry. And accommodation, we will pay for your accommodation for 3 months. Now, after 3 months, you can move out if you want to, because what the idea is that we rent these big things called HMOs, which are like houses with either 4 or 5 bedrooms in them. They've got ensuite bathrooms, they're double bedrooms. We will put you up in one of these shared houses. If there are people that want to be bunched together, then that's not a problem, because if you've got friends, it's always nice to live with friends, and we will absolutely try and accommodate that where possible. But then after that 3-month period, you'll have the opportunity to move out or to stay. But if you want to stay there, then I don't know what the figure will be, because it depends on what the rental for us pay for the houses, but we will work out costs, and it won't be huge as opposed to going and buying your own place, renting. But we can offer support if you did want to go and get your own place or do other things in the area. We can help support that, and we will be with you every step of the way. It's not that you're just going to come over here and be left like they did for Elias and his crew. You get to the airport and you turn up at Newham, I think it was, and you just got left. That's it, done. Well, that's not what we do. We'll be there to help you, support you along the way, answer any questions. We have a 24/7 duty officer who you have their number. You can just phone them at any point and say, I've got this problem, can you help me? I need to know to do this, or where's the cinema? Anything that you need to know, anything that you guys need, is not a problem. So that's the plan with the accommodation. Just to over that again, we will cover you for 3 months, and then after 3 months, if you want to stay in that accommodation, that's not a problem. We'll then rent it to you. If you wanted to move out, that's not a problem too. We will help you find somewhere that you wanted to live, because you might want to live somewhere by the river, or I don't know. So that's the thing for accommodation. Flights, you guys are going to pay for your flights, and we're going to pay for your visas. So we're going to pay for your visas, for all of it, and you're going to pay for your flights. And the reason we do that is, when we've been setting up this, I've been talking to the NHS about quite a lot of the transition stuff that they do. And they've had quite a lot of people say they're coming over, sign up, land in the country, and then go somewhere else and get someone else and get somewhere or another company to take over their visa. I'm not saying that you guys are like that for 1 second, but that's the reason that we're doing it, because if you guys did decide to land in the country and then you've already spoke to another company who are happy to take over your visa, then we haven't lost out and there's no negative relationships. But we will pay for your visa. That's not a problem, and we can do that. HCPC registration, you guys are going off and getting that already, so that's good. But you need that before you come here anyway. And mandatory training, we will cover all the costs of your mandatory training. So I'm not sure if you've looked up what PAYE actually means. It's called pay as you earn, but it means that you have a contract, you're covered by law, you have rights as an employee rather than being a self-employed person. If you've got any questions with that, either reach out to Elias or do some Google research just to get the understanding of it, and then we can come up with that. But mandatory training. There's a lot of mandatory training that paramedics and ambulance crews do here in the UK, and some of it's done yearly, some of it lasts 2 years or 3 years, as Elias will say. But we can send you the links and all that to do the mandatory training. If Elias, actually, do you remember ELFH? E-learning for healthcare.
Yeah.
It's an NHS one. Well, there's a way that you can sign up on that, and it's actually free. So I'll send you the link and stuff, or I'll get Andy to share it with the group, and that way you can do your mandatory training. And I think that's all the bits that I have written down. So if you guys have got any questions that you need to throw at us, or you're unsure of anything, or you need to go over anything again, because sometimes I do tend to talk too fast, so I do apologise.
Hi, Seho. Yeah, it's okay. You can just unmute and then you can ask your question. I think, yeah, you have a question, don't you? Yeah.
Okay, hello everyone. I wanted to find out when is the earliest date that you expect people to be there, or when is the start date, the earliest date that you guys want us to be there? Is it this year or next year?
So that's a very good question. I think that fully depends on you guys, because I don't know what your guys' circumstances is. I don't know who you're working for at the moment. I don't know what contract you're in. I don't know what your experience is. I don't know if you're still at uni or if you're ready to qualify. So I think what we can do is like I've been chatting to Egon and Andy. I'm in touch now, and Egon's like practically ready to go, we think. So I think what we can do is we can take it on a case-by-case basis, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all your email addresses and I'm going to send you out some information of the competencies of basically like what we're looking for, or even like just to answer questions. And that's such things like, are you still at uni? Have you qualified? Have you been working on an ambulance since you've left, or do you work in a hospital? Have you applied for your HCPC registration? When did you do it? Are you in a contract? When is your current contract end? And also, when are you looking? Because you might not want to come here until after Christmas, or you might want to come before Christmas. So the way that we thought we could make this better for you guys is just to be quite flexible on things. So rather than saying, right, you all have to be here on the 30th of November, and if you're not here, you're never going to get any opportunity again. We're not going to do that. We're going to keep it quite flexible, because we need to be very mindful that you guys are coming over from a different country, and it's a big step. It's a big step to take. And you might be leaving girlfriends, wives, husbands, whatever behind. So we're not going to put any pressure on you. We're just going to say, this is what we need from you. These are the questions that we need answering. Let us know when you think you'll be ready to come over, and then we will then come back to you and go, right, okay, let's do it on this day, or let's do it on this day. Does that help? That's good. That means I've answered the first question, and the first question is always the worst. The fact that there's not a lot of questions means that I waffled on a lot, Elias, and I've basically filled these people's heads with lots of information, I think.
Yeah, which is good. Seho, you have another question?
Yes, quickly, I see Yanano's question as well, and I want to leave off that. He was asking, is there like any allowances? What is the medical aid situation? Because we're currently working for state private, so we have private medical aids and stuff like that, and then overtime basis and shifts.
So the shift pattern. So the fact that you be PAYE, you're on a 4-on 4-off shift rotation, and our shifts go from 6 till 4. We've got 6 till 4, 6 a.m. till 4 p.m. 10 till 8, 10 a.m. till 8 p.m. Then we've got 2 till midnight, 4 till midnight, and then 8 till 6, and then we've got 2107. So we have different shift patterns. But what you'd be doing is you'd be doing like 4 earlies, 4 mids, 4 lates. Sorry, 4 earlies, 4 off, 4 mids, 4 off, 4 lates, 4 off. But we understand that there might be, some of you might have health problems, or you might have gut problems, which means that you can't really work nights, or so we're not saying you have to do this. PAYE generally follows a 4-on 4-off shift pattern, but we understand there might be personal issues for people that we will deal with on a case-by-case basis. There are some night shifts as well, because we have to cover our night shifts for our client. So the NHS is our client, and we are contracted to cover these amount of shifts, and that's what we have to do. And our PAYE staff fall into that 4-on-4 process. And the good thing about being in a shift process is you know what you're working when you're working, and you can plan yourself for the year. So you can plan holidays, you can plan time away, because Britain's a beautiful place, and there's airports really close, and you can fly to Ireland for like £9 and go and have a look around Ireland and try some Guinness and stuff. Overtime, there's always overtime. There is so much overtime. It is absolutely crazy. But you're restricted to the hours that you can work a week. So you could do. So some weeks it will let you do 5 shifts. Some weeks it will let you do 6 shifts. It depends on when your rotation starts and if it overcrosses a weekend. So the NHS week goes Sunday to Sunday. So some days you'll be able to do 5, some days you'll be able to do 6. And just touching, let me just look at that a second, make sure I've got everything. Allowances of medical aid. So here we have the beautiful NHS. And the beautiful NHS is what you hear on the news. You register, and your healthcare is absolutely free. Everyone's healthcare is free. And generally, when you're working, like I was taken unwell not that long ago, and I went to one of the hospitals that we frequent, and I went in, and they went, "Andy, what are you doing here?" And they realised I was a patient, and I was literally in that hospital, triaged, bloods, CT scanned, out within 4 hours. And Elias, how good is that?
Amazing. Honestly, I think for most people that come from private care or that have to have private care, that is actually a bonus, because you don't pay for anything, not your CT, nothing. Absolutely go in there, get your medication, it's all free. So honestly,
and dental and optics and stuff like that.
For specs you have to pay for them and stuff like that. But if it's just like a regular dental appointment, all those things are free.
And when you're going, so we call them an optician or an optometrist. When you're going and choosing things like that, I think you'll find that the prices here are cheaper. Am I right?
It's cheaper.
Yeah. So the prices here for things are a lot cheaper than what they would be at home. So to go for an eye appointment, it's £30. So I don't wear glasses, but I go for an eye checkup at least once a year, and it costs me £30. Sometimes shops are having deals on, and it's free. You have a free eye appointment, go and get your eyes checked. And I know someone mentioned something else. We've covered the benefits. What we'll do is we'll send you the benefits of being a PAYE person. Medical aid we've covered, overtime we've covered, other allowances. There's if you work bank holidays or Christmas or New Year or things like that, and it doesn't fall as part of your 4-on-4 off shift pattern, there are opportunities to earn time and a half, sometimes double time. It depends on what the trust are paying us, but that's always put onto you guys. Whereas when you work for the NHS, you have to opt up to do these shifts, so it's exactly like the same as us. MISO, I hope that's how you say it. Sorry, I don't want to be disrespectful, but MISO, any offer letter, absolutely, we can put together an offer letter once we've sent out and got our requirements and got more of an understanding about each of you as individuals, like where you are at in your journey and in your career, and if you're absolutely sure that you want to come to the UK as well. And I think that's quite an important part. We like to be quite honest and open and have a conversation. And at any point during the process, if you want to call us up or have a chat because you're a little bit uncertain of stuff, call us up and have a chat. If you guys just need reassurance about something, or you're unsure about being in a different country and being so far away, call us and have a chat. And if you change your mind, it's not a problem. We're not going to hold it against you, and then you change your mind and come back in 3 months' time. It's not an issue. We understand it's a big thing to come from another country to another, but also quite exciting. Jennifer, we have a base in Milton Keynes, which is just north of London, if you're looking on a map. We have a base in Frimley, which is just south of London in Surrey. And we have a base in Henley-on-Thames, which is west of London, in Oxfordshire. So we've got 3 different bases. Our main base and where the training is all going to be done will be done with Andy. Some of it might be done at Henley, some of it might be done in Milton Keynes, but wherever the training's going on and whatever, we will help to ferry you guys about and get you sorted. And transport was not something that I had a list of. We understand there might be some transport problems, but we will deal with that. In the beginning, we'll come to some sort of arrangement as to whether we get a couple of cars or stuff. We register them in the company, and you guys can use them to ferry about. It's not something that we've kind of managed to 100% sort out, but we will have it sorted and let you guys know. Has anybody else got any questions? Or any questions about Andy about education? Because he loves questions about education.
Yeah, I think if most likely, I think the most important thing, which is the onboarding process, them learning sort of like, you know, ethics and, you know, stuff about mental health and so forth for the guys that are, you know, serious about coming over and as soon as possible. So if they can get that out of the way, I think that's sort of like a big step, really.
Sure. So the onboarding process, for any of you that want to start onboarding, and I know some of you have, I'll send you a link for something called Credentially. And Credentially is our onboarding process, and it's also it's an employment governance and also a clinical governance and mandatory training governance site that we've had kind of tailor-made for what we need. So when it asks you for a copy of your driving license, you upload a copy of your driving license. When it asks for a copy of your DBS, the difference is a DBS here is the same as what you guys go to the police station and you get a check done at the police station. You get a certificate to say, I have been a good boy or a good girl or a good whatever pronoun you wish to be, and this person is of good standing and good stature, and then we can then use that. When it asks for mandatory training, don't worry about mandatory training, because that's what we need to what we will set up with you, either with Education Learning for Health, which is a online platform, which it might be good to get you guys linked up and signed up with that, just so you can start reading things and getting more of an understanding, because a big thing here in the UK is about safeguarding, but I'll let Andy come back to that. But so with the onboarding process, it works as fast or as slow as you want it to work. If you're uploading your documents quickly, efficiently, you are controlling how fast your onboarding process takes, if that makes sense. And don't be afraid to ask questions. My email address, I think, is on Credentially anyway, and I know I've been chatting to a couple of people, but don't feel that you have to just upload any document just to fill a void, especially with the mandatory training things are concerned. It says things like conflict resolution, safeguarding adults and children level 1, 2 and 3, things like that. Don't worry too much about putting documents in there. We just need to get all your onboarding done, as in your passports, your driving licenses, your proof of address, your DBSs, and your paramedic qualifications and your work experience. So there's a section which is called questionnaires on Credentially, and if you can fill all that stuff out, that gives us so much information, which also helps to do your visas as well, because it took us a while to get the Home Office to sign us off, to allow us to do this. So many apologies if some of you have been waiting for a while for this. It's not because of Elias, it's because of us. But we're really happy to have all the sign off done. But the onboarding process goes as fast or as slow as what you want it to do. So if you just upload all your documents, your passport, all the important things that we need, your work experience, copies of your paramedic certificates, referencing as well. There are as options for 3 references. They either have to go back 10 years, or one of them definitely has to be your last employer, or if you're at uni, it needs to be someone from your uni. What other important parts of that? It asks you for a blue light certificate. Don't worry about that, because what we'll do is we'll be monitoring you guys that are coming over, and we will monitor your guys' profiles, because we will need to sign you off as opposed to somebody here in the UK who's applying, because they should have all of those things. And we understand that you guys don't, and there's a lot of things that we're going to need to help you with, and it's not a problem. We'll help you with them. So I hope that covers the onboarding. Anything else you can think of, Elias, that you were struggling with, or you were unsure of when you came over here first of all?
Yeah, there's quite a few. I think first of all, the sort of like the HCPC registration as well, because I know a few guys are struggling with the English. As I said, if you have any issues, please just drop me a WhatsApp message or email me, or whatever is convenient for you. But you don't need to do IELTS. IELTS is expensive. IELTS takes a while and it can delay your application. You can do something called ECTS, especially for your visa, because you need to prove that you can, that you are proficient in English in a way. So you can apply for ECTS. ECTS will basically evaluate your degree to say that it's at the same standard as a UK qualification, that is, you know, or it's a UK degree basically. Or what you can do is you can use your medium of instruction from university as well to say that, oh, like my years of study at university were taught in English and I'm proficient in English. That's all that you can use. But do not go for IELTS. It's expensive. It's gonna take you a while. And I think the other thing is probably just visa application as well. Make sure that you get your TB test and so forth done. Obviously, once you have had an offer made to you, and you're ready for your visa sort of like application, you are gonna need a TB test done. I think depending on which country you are from, it can cost you something between 2005 for the guys that are in Namibia. I'm not sure about Botswana now. And then a police clearance, which is like similar to a DBS, that's gonna cost you like $100 in Namibia, which is like £5 maybe. So literally,
Wow.
yeah. But otherwise, and then you are gonna need your biometric, stuff, which you do when you're applying for your visa. But it's pretty much once you get the HCPC registration, get that out of the way. I would recommend, because it can take a while. Some people might wait up to 6 months. Some people 4 months. Make sure that you submit everything they are requesting of you. Pay the scrutiny fee and so forth, and that can go by quick. If you're not registered, you can't practice, so it's a bit of a risk for ND and ND, and so it's just get your registration out of the way and make sure that you can practice. So that sometimes what you might have to do is you have to third man on the ambulance, if you're not registered. I'm sure that you guys are exploring that option as well. Third man on the ambulance, so you just get used to the system and see how people do things. It's a little bit different, not that different, but I think one thing that I've observed in the UK is that safety is paramount. Everything has to be about safety, your safety, the patient's safety, and just making sure that you have a very structured way and you're following protocol. So yeah, basically perhaps before you go over, just make sure that you have, I'm not sure if you're going to have access to the JRCAC, but it will be a good thing, because then you get to learn about the protocols, you get to learn what the scope of a paramedic is. I think that's very, very helpful. And yeah, once you get all those out of the way, everything is pretty much smooth. You'll enjoy the UK. It's amazing. Everyone is pretty much supportive. Everyone is friendly. I know some people had questions about, are people racist, or like, what if I'm from outside? The only time someone will be racist with you is if you support Arsenal and support Chelsea. That becomes a problem. But besides that, everyone is pretty much easygoing, and yeah, it's you'll enjoy your time. So if you're really, really serious about it, get the registration out of the way. Make sure that you submit all the documents that are required of you, and you should be hopping on a flight going to the UK.
Just want to touch on that racism thing. I know some parts of the UK have a very bad reputation for racism. Well, where we are is not one of them, and we don't condone it. We don't support it. We will absolutely deal with it and nail it on the head. I don't care who they are. I don't care what they are. I don't care what job they are. I don't care how big they are. We will absolutely nail them to the floor. We don't accept that. And the one thing the UK is very good at is supporting its emergency service workers. There are people will be arrested, charged, go to court, and I think a couple of people have actually gone to prison for verbally abusing and physically abusing emergency service workers. And I don't know what it's like to work where you are. I don't know if it's dangerous. I don't know if you carry guns. I know there are people in SA that carry guns in their bags when they go on shift. There's none of that here. You might go to a crack den in the middle of Reading and have to, just be a bit careful because somebody wants to fight you. Or you might go to a mental health patient and may get verbally assaulted. But no, the racism thing here is, no, we are massively supportive of non-racism, and will absolutely nail people to the wall, anyone that does it, and we will push for anybody to be arrested, charged, and basically sentenced in a court of law. We just won't have it, and that goes for any kind of physical, verbal abuse. We don't accept it, and on our watch it just won't happen at the end of the day. And also, the people that you get to work with are lovely. So the people that we have at Southern Medical are really good. They're really supportive. We've got lots of different characters, and we have let a few people know about the project, and everyone's really excited. I'm really excited to have some of you guys come over and basically pick on your knowledge, because it's going to be interesting, because when you guys come over, you're going to be learning off each other, really, because in some aspects, you're going to be a lot more medically and clinically skilled than what they are, and you need to learn policies, procedures, pathways, and lots of things from them. So you're going to be asking each other questions all the time and sharing stories, and I think you're gonna really enjoy it. And back to what I was saying earlier, the UK is a wonderful place. We've got loads of little airports around. On your 4 days off, you could finish shift, book a flight 5 weeks in advance, so it costs nothing. Go to Germany for 20 quid, £20. Go and spend a couple of days in Germany. There's so much exploring that you can do here, and even in the country itself, there's some beautiful places to go. You can go to Cornwall, you can go to the Lake District, you can go into London, and everyone should go to London a couple of times. It's different living there, but it's really nice to go and view it. But I hope that answers all of your questions. I love the fact that we've got 19 people on here. That's really, really good. And if anyone has got any questions afterwards that they're not sure of, either drop us an email or run them through Elias, and if he can't answer them, then he will get in touch with us. But happy to chat to people on WhatsApp if you like I've been chatting to Egon, and because we know what it's like. You come on to a meeting like this and you want to say something, but you don't because everyone's on there, and then you forget it. Well, you haven't lost your chance. Ask us anything that you need to, or if you need us to go over something again, just let us know, and we'll be happy to help. We're really excited to see you guys.
I think the other thing as well with accommodation, guys, is that accommodation can, not that it's expensive compared to what you pay in in Botswana, I'm guessing, in South Africa and Namibia, or I'm guessing there's some people from Qatar here as well. So it can be a little bit pricey, and being offered accommodation for 3 months, that's a bonus. I know for us, we offered accommodation for 1 month, and even then you're not even ready to pay. You have to pay deposit, and you have to kind of have money for the month, because you have to get by until you get your first salary. So just having that 3 month accommodation is really great, because then you can save some money, and you can it's just beneficial for you. And I think the other thing that you can also lost my train of thought there, but it's actually great. Just take it. Definitely, you never get it anywhere else. Accommodation can be expensive in the UK, and if you want to stay, as Andy said, in the accommodation as well, you can always have a conversation to say, hey, listen, mate, can I have it for 70% or 80% of the price? I'm sure they will be happy to listen. So it's a bonus.
Yeah, that is a good point. So in London, accommodation's expensive because we're outside of what we call the M25, which is a motorway that goes around London. So all motorways in England are called M1, M2, M3, M4. The M25 is the the big circular donut that goes around London. Anything outside of that, the prices just go down. It's absolutely crazy. It's really, really crazy. So we're lucky enough to be outside of that. So the prices are less than what you would look for in London. We would probably be looking to have you guys in somewhere like Reading, which is really, really close to where our Henley-on-Thames base is. Have a look online, see what costs are around Reading. We chose Reading because it's close to Henley, so it's basically close to our main base. It's close to where we are as a team. So I'm based there, Andy's based there, Steve flips between Frimley and Reading. But Reading's a big town, and Reading's a big multicultural town. And it's got cinemas, shopping centres, eating places, everything. And it's also got really good rail links into everywhere, so you can get everywhere. So we kind of chose or thought that Reading would be a really good base for you guys. So have a look around Reading, have a look on maps and stuff, and kind of see what you think. And as I said, any questions, let us know. But we're really excited, and we're really looking forward to going forward on this, and kind of getting more to know people personally and what their experiences are and kind of where they're at in their career. And we're really looking forward to this.
Yeah, I think just to touch on Erewa's question with regards to COS, which is the certificate of sponsorship. So usually, like for instance, for us, when we moved over with London Ambulance Service, you're offered a COS, which basically states that you have a job and you're employed by this, which is what's gonna be the same. So you can use that to sponsor your spouse or your immediate family. So you can use that to say that, hey, I have a job and I can support this people because I have this. So it's sort of like proof. So you can use that to apply for their visa, especially your immediate family. It has to be immediate family. Can't be your uncles and aunts and stuff like that. Otherwise, you don't apply. So just a bit of a tip on that, in regards to certificate of sponsorship.
Yeah, in fact, that reminds me, Elias, we need to get yours done.
Have a conversation.
I've got a desk for you in my office.
Fantastic, mate. Fantastic. Does anyone else have a question? Does anyone else have, any questions, especially with regards to registration, moving over? Guys, this is a fantastic opportunity. If you're going to be supported like that, where you have to literally, like, they have to pay for your visa. I remember I had to pay everything else, and then they reimbursed me. But you might not just have the money to pay for everything else, which can be pricey. So I think if you can take this opportunity, you'll save some money. But yeah, especially the visa. I can't remember how much it cost a while back, but it's actually gonna be, I think it's around
Depends
about,
on which type of visa. If it's 3-year or 5-year, it has also increased. So 5-year visa, you're looking at 482, say £500 for 5-year visa. 3 years is 280.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the actual prices now, but I know a few things have changed. Everything is changing nowadays, so I'll probably have to look when you guys are at that stage. But yeah.
But the good thing is, when you get here, you'll be earning decent money. I mean, how much does 30 grand a year equates to? I don't know how much a month, but yeah, you'll be earning really good money. You'll be in another country. You'll be having excitement. You're going off and doing things that you wouldn't normally do in your hometown. And as Elias said, I think it's a really good opportunity. I wish I had done something like this when I was younger and like gone off and worked in another country, but I'm far too old now. I've got a dog as well, so I'm far too old.
You never old, mate.
I missed anything, Andy?
Don't think so. I think most of it's been covered. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of questions if there aren't any more now afterwards that can be answered just by getting in contact with either us or Elias.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
Okay. Awesome, guys. I think we can call it a day. Andy, do you maybe just want to pop your email in the chat there that they can take it down for the guys that are not,
Sure.
have not started maybe their onboarding process? Because I think few of them have not started their onboarding process, but most of them have. If you have any issues with the HCPC registration, guys, I've done this, I've helped you guys do it. I do know a few tricks and turns that you can use to speed it up, or sort of just like avoid spending extra cash. So just, I don't know, leave me a message really, and I will be happy to assist. Okay.
I think there were
Brilliant.
some questions, Daniel, and I think I am pronouncing Tsegafatso. I think you had a
So
question.
yeah.
Yeah, I had a question because I had Mr. Andy, the other, I mean Richard.
Ooh, a bit of echo.
He said that the initial offer is £30,000 per annum, then maybe after 2 years is 48. And they're saying that their package is competitive as compared to NHS, but I got a more higher offer with NHS, so I'm not convincing to say you guys had the best packages considering that we'll be paying for our own flights. So yeah, so 30,000 compared to the other offers from NHS, I think somehow if you consider the experience and other stuff, because if you are paying for the flights and the initial one for the first 2 years is £30,000 per year is still not competitive enough because it's what NHS is also offering at entry level. They start from 28 to 30,500.
Um, Sorry if I can just answer that before Andy. If I believe for LAS, which I'm aware is 26 to 28 for a Band 5 paramedic. um, and that's technically the first 2 years. So you'll be a Band 5 paramedic, and you are between 26 and 28. I'm not sure which trust that is, but that is the one that I'm aware of. And by the second year, once you move second year, you'll be between 30 and 32. Sorry, can you hear me okay? You seem to be leaning forward. I'm just making sure you can hear. So it's between 30 and 32 compared to 48 after 2 years. That is a big leap.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. So your starting salary is pretty much the top of band five, and if you came across to join up with with the NHS, depending on what you're going for. So if you're going for not just a paramedic role, then you're right. Your wages would be a little bit different. If you're going to be a clinical team leader or a clinical administrator or basically some other role. But as an international paramedic coming over just to work on the road, 9 times out of 10 from the trusts that I'm looking, apart from Yorkshire Ambulance Service, you start at the bottom of band five. So where we are starting you is the top of band five. And then, as Elias said, when you then go up into that £48,000, you're you're you've gone way up. You've literally gone way up the pay bands. And the thing is, that's if you're going for a really good job in the UK and your experience is like lecturing or doing something like that, go for it. Absolutely go for it. But what we're looking for is we're looking for paramedics who want to come over, they want to work on the road, they want to develop their skills, they want to develop themselves, because who knows where you go from here. You might decide to settle here in the UK. You might decide to go and work on oil rigs. You might decide to stay here and work with the helicopter teams or the critical care teams or the ECMO teams. There's lots of opportunities here that you can do, but we didn't want to be like the NHS and basically start you off at the bottom of band five. So we thought, right, what we'll do to help support you both emotionally and financially is to put you to the top of band five. So I think I should have probably explained that a little bit better. So you're absolutely right, and that's a really good question,
Yeah,
and I hope that answers it.
yeah, and I think, when Andy and I sort of started this, it's sort of helping people relocate. If you're looking, hey, I want to go to the UK, how can you find something that can sort of like assist you in that process instead of you having to cover all the expenses? How can we assist you? And that's basically sort of the fundamentals of the idea, to assist you to relocate to the UK. If at any point you decide, hey, I want to move wherever, then that's up to you. But it's to support you in that initial phase of transitioning and relocating to the UK.
And just for your information, like the £48,000 mark is the beginning of band eight. and as Elias knows, I think Band 8 is what Chris was on, and so Chris was Band 8, Boyd I think was Band 8B, so that's like our area management wages within the NHS. But back to your specific application, if you're going for jobs here in the UK that you're gonna that your skills match, go for it. Absolutely go for it. And we wish you the absolute best of luck. And obviously keep in touch with us and keep in touch with everyone here, because there's always going to be social events and nights out and go-karting events and fun things that we do that you'd always be welcome to come on. So it'd be really good to keep in touch. But if you're going to be offered a good role based on your experience, because I don't know what you do, I don't know if you're a lecturer or basically whatever, but if you can get a really good role at a higher BAM rate and it's something you want, absolutely go for it. Absolutely go for it. 100%.
Yeah. Any other question? Just a quick question. I'm just wondering because I know there's few of them. Yeah, sorry, Daniel. Yeah.
I just want to ask, I don't know whether it was covered already, but are we coming over on contract basis or permanent contracts?
Sorry, Daniel. I hear a very soft voice.
He was asking if we're going to come through as a permanent employees or by contract basis, which is currently what the norm is here. You go for a 3-month contract or 6 months contract, stuff like that.
So you'll be over here with us, Daniel. Very good question. You'll be over here with us as permanent employees. There will be an initial probationary period, because obviously if you come over here and you can't do the role that we've employed you to do because of whatever reason, then the contract will be ended. But you will be here on a PAYE permanent employment.
I think for as long as your visa is active, for as long as your visa is active, you'll have a job basically. Let's put it
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Quick question from my side is the certificate of sponsorship and the visa application and fees. So we would need to cover the TB test and initial one, the initial visa application fee.
We would cover the visa cost itself. Well, when you say the initial visa fees, what do you mean by that?
Because once I go and do the TB test, that means I need to go through to the British High Commission here and apply for the visa, and that's where the 200 and something pounds needs to get paid for the 3-year visa.
We will cover that for you. So what you do is basically you pay for that, and then we will then reimburse you that money.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think
we will cover
you can apply for the TB test separately. You don't need to have an appointment done, but you need to specify why you're doing it, and then they'll give you the correct sort of like certificate for it. If it makes sense, Egon.
No, it's what is it? Because I think most of the guys here in Namibia sometimes are a little bit stuck because getting on a plane from here to the UK, it's expensive. The visas are expensive, and needing to save up for that, it's going to take a lot of time as well as money. So it will delay the process of getting to the UK. So if we can work out something that you speak to the High Commission this side and say, here's a letter that states once this person applies, we'll cover the visa costs, and you pay directly to the British High Commission. That would be a great help.
Yeah. I think with regards to that, in case of let's say, for instance, you don't have to pay the health surcharge anymore since you are paramedics, and I think that's the expensive bit. You are exempted from paying the health surcharge. That's what makes the visa expensive. But you as a paramedic or any other, like a nurse, you don't have to pay for that. For healthcare professionals, that you are exempted from paying that. I think the other expense involved in there is gonna be your TB, and then just basically your appointment at the visa center. I think you pay something like £50 for it, which is like 1,000 Namibian dollars. I'm not sure in Botswana it's probably gonna be like 90 something or like 900 and something. But basically that should not take you long as well. It's if you can apply today, you should be able to get an appointment before Friday, for instance. So that part is normally faster. And I think the other thing that you have to pay for is the biometric, sort of just like fingerprints and stuff like that. That is also not that expensive. But I think the health surcharge is what used to make the visa expensive, but not anymore since you don't have to pay it. I hope that kind of covers your you don't seem convinced, but that I hope that kind of answers your question. But I do understand it. I've been through it. I have helped few guys that have relocated recently, and that part is what used to make the visa expensive. And if you have any issues, just drop me a message. I'll take you through it. Yeah.
Okay, will do.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right. Any
Right.
other questions from anyone? Okay, just gonna double check
Right.
that there's no questions.
As we said, if you guys have got any other questions, let us know. Drop me an email. Drop Elias, as he's been through this process already. He's got more experience about actually getting from Namibia to the UK and sorting all that out. But any other, excuse me, any other questions you have, drop me and Andy an email, or drop myself, and I'll put you in touch with Andy. And yeah, we look forward to speaking with you guys again soon. If you have a load more questions and you need to do a one-on-one Teams, let me know. I'm happy to do a video call with you on a one-on-one. We can find a time. It's really good.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. I think I'm gonna conclude this. I'll try and share the recording. I've done it. I just need to figure out how I'm gonna share it, but it's here. If anybody wants it, just as I said, drop me a WhatsApp or whatever. And we have a group as well, so if you have a question on there, just leave it there. And if I can't answer it, I'll share it with either one of the ND. So yeah, that's it. You guys have a good day. Thank you, Andy, and thank you, the other Andy, for coming through. Really appreciate the time. I know your schedules are quite packed.
Very much, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.
You guys have a good day.
Take care. See you soon. Bye now.
Bye.